Hello, dreamers, and welcome back to PERLA'S Dreams. Virgo, Libra, Cusp. This is your reading, and again, guys, these are general readings, so only take whatever resonates, and please leave the rest. There's a very stubborn energy with you guys during this time. Uh, there's something that you are not wanting to see, like someone else's point of view, not wanting to see someone else's, not wanting to hear someone else's opinion or version of something. You're very much like, this is it, this is it, this is it. And if you continue on this path of being very stubborn, I see a downfall. I see a foundation crumbling, or a foundation going. Oh, hold on, guys. Because my left ear is like itching. If a foundation is crumbling down, because of someone's stubbornness. If you feel like you're not the one that is stubborn, maybe the person that you're dealing with, maybe there is somebody that is very close to you, but I feel that this is very much a self-inflicted type of downfall. Um, Someone is unwilling to compromise, or unwilling to see things from someone else's point of view. For those of you that this has to do with a relationship, there is this energy of like unfaithfulness that is bringing a relationship to an end. So whoever was it that was being cheated on is finding out, and they don't want to hear your, like, the excuse, like, again, whether this is you that was cheating or someone was cheating on you. Whoever was cheated on does not want to hear the other person's excuse for their cheating. But it becomes this place where, you know, because of the unfaithfulness, like, the scales have been tipped, and they're no longer balanced, and somebody doesn't see a way of overcoming this betrayal and wants to just walk away. The person that cheated feels that their cheating is justified. Okay, this is why I'm saying that this very stubborn energy is bringing the downfall of a foundation, of a relationship. So you do with that information whatever you may. Um, there's a period here where you're being asked to really go within yourself, and to really ask yourself those difficult questions that you have been avoiding. What is it that you want out of your life? Because you have been living a certain lifestyle that, for those that are looking in from the outside, seems very, very filled, very joyful, very whatever. But it has been a mask that you have been wearing for a very long time. And a part of you wants to come into alignment with something that makes you actually feel alive, without having to chase like these thrills or these whatever, like, and a thrill can be anything as simple as like a cigarette, a drink, whatever, like alcohol, whatever it is, right? In order to feel something, in order to feel like you're alive, like, there's something really deep within you guys that is trying to awaken, and is trying to get your attention. Now the question is, are you going to take that leap? Because I feel that you've had periods where you start to listen, and you start to try to navigate this space that spirit is trying to show you, but something pulls you back. Something pulls you back. There's fear here when it comes to the unknown. When it comes to the spiritual aspect of things, there is this fear that kind of keeps on pulling you back, that kind of keeps on not letting you really get steady on your feet as you're trying to navigate the spiritual aspect of your life. I don't know if I'm gonna, and this is just a side note to myself. I don't know if I'm gonna keep on using the headphones. I feel like the headphones, when I record with them, really bring out like the surrounding noises, even though it's not a lot, it makes them louder. I'm gonna try to see if this is something I can edit or not. But I think the next videos that I record, I'm gonna record them without the headphones to see if there's a difference. Anyways, I don't know. I think some of you had to hear that there's something maybe that you guys are dealing with, that you're you're trying to figure out like if tweaking something or changing something is going to make something better. Like maybe you're wondering about bringing quality back into something, maybe quality back into like the time that you're spending with your families, especially for those of you that have children. There is a sense that you may not be spending enough quality time with your kids. So let's say for example, the like, I'm not gonna lie, the past the past week and most likely into the end of this month, I'm not spending a lot of I'm not spending a lot of quantity. I never really spend. Well, I do sometimes, but I'm not spending a lot of quantity times with my kids because they are the three that are in high school are all freshmen in high school. My oldest is home. He does computer like gaming, and like he codes, he creates games. So he's like launching a big game. So he's spending hours on end doing that. And my three youngest, again, they're freshmen in high school, so they're getting ready for finals. So I have a couple of events, like this has been since the beginning of May, where I have to like in our group chat tell them like, hey, we're doing this on this day, and like I'm scheduling events with them so that when we are together in that sense of like spending actual time together, because we live together, right? But so that means we live together, so we spend the majority of the time in the same household, but we're not spending a lot of quality time because they have a lot going on and I have a lot going on. So when we have these spaces in our life when it's like that, right? Because they're teenagers, they have things that they want to do as well, right? So what I do is that instead of getting into like this Monday type of thing of just like spending time with them when we're not actually doing anything, like just watching TV or this and this and that, I like to schedule events. I like to schedule time away from the house, away from everything, where we're actually all five of us are, or all six of us if their fathers included, where we're actually engaging as a family, and that the quantity of that time is actually something that is tangible, right? So yeah, I have sometimes where somebody will come and just be like, oh, I just want to be in your room, and they'll come and lay down in my bed and do whatever they want to do. We're spending time together, but we're not really engaging. And that's kind of like what the energy that is coming up here, like it's for those of you that have kids, it's like your kids are wanting to actually like engage with you. So maybe scheduling, once a week or once every 2 week or whatever, an actual time for you guys to actually engage. A very simple way to do that is board games, right? And if you have like smaller children's, you can do like puzzles, you can do things, that, electronics are off the table, electronics are off, and is all of you just sitting there and just like, and again, I'm speaking from experience. I have kids between the ages of 14 and soon to be 20, and we still do this. Like we'll start texting like, hey, when are we gonna have like a game night? And we will literally like sit down at the table and everything is off, and all we do is like engage for like 4 or 5 hours, like playing a board game and talking about things that are happening in our lives. And for a lot of you, this is something that needs to be started if you haven't, and especially if you have small children. This is a very good practice, especially if work is not allowing you to have dinner together at the table every night. Like we've never really been a family that sits down and eats dinner every single night. One, because when I used to work, the timing just was never really there, right? So it was always like, every Sunday or every Saturday we would have this big brunch type of thing where we will all sit down together and eat. And as they get older and their life starts to change, right, because they're engaging in other things, then instead of holding on to like, oh well, we used to do this, we try to the all of us come together and figure out a way that we can still have that quality time with each other as family where it works for all of us. So for some of you, this is definitely something that you need to you need to put in the books. Even if you don't have kids, maybe you're just married, you have a significant other, but again, you guys are spending a lot of time together, but there's no substance to it, right? There's just like watching TV and no conversation, no talking about the future or anything like that. So there's definitely a shift in that space that needs to change. And always a quick reminder that in order for things to change, something has to give, something has to change. Change is not just going to come on its end, on its own, right? In order for it to start getting like colder outside, like, the way that the sun's rotation changes, like, the how, you know the sunset, the sunrise time changes, like it's kind of like that aspect of things that you guys really have to start taking into place when it comes to these things that are calling for your attention. And make sure that you're not so stubborn about things, like, the stubborn energy that came into to break down foundations for you guys can be something as simple like, let's say now your work schedule is changing, so now you have to adapt about the times that you used to have date night with your husband or your wife, right? Adapt the time that you used to exercise, like whatever it is, like don't be so stubborn that you don't allow yourself the ability for flexibility, and you rob yourself of the opportunity of adapting to new situation. Because the more that you restrict yourself within these spaces, the harder and the more challenging that things become. Okay. And again, when I say these things, it's like spirit keeps on like telling me like, well, use this as an example, use that as an example. And it's like, I remember when my kids were little, there were times where I worked overnights, because we didn't want, um we were both working, and the reality of like hiring a nanny was not something that was sustainable, right? So I staying home until they were 3 was something that worked out better. And once they started preschool, working overnights just seemed to work better because I had help from parents and things like that. And it was a transition period that when they started kindergarten, I would go back to days so that we can have a little bit more of like a normal functioning household, traditional norm, like, you know what I mean? So it's almost kind of like that. A lot of you are really stuck in something that you're not wanting to see it how it can work, or you're not wanting to give it a chance, or you're very stubborn in keeping things stuck the way that they are. But the reality of the matter is that there is something that is no longer working for you, like for your household, for your relationship. So something's got to give, regardless of how stubborn you are, because there is a lot of unfulfillment here when it comes, not just for you but also for those that are engaging within your family dynamic. So this is your significant other being unsatisfied with how the relationship is, but it's also kind of like this domino effect that's also starting to affect like your children, your pets, etc. And flexibility here has to come from you, and a lot of you do not want that. It's like, if you think about it, like, with certain relationships is like, well, I'm gonna go to school the first 4 years, and then once I graduate, you go to school, and then once you graduate, then you start working. It's like, it almost seems like whoever is being stubborn, is their time to sacrifice, or is their time to compromise, and they don't want to compromise. They were okay when the other person was compromising, they were okay when the other person was sacrificing, but when it comes time for them to do it, they don't want to do it. And that's the energy that you have to be very careful with during this time. So we have the Shaman's Dream as the oracle. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to pull out an oracle card for your closing message. Virgo, Libra, Cusp. Give me one card, Spirit. So you need to really be open up to flexibility and for change. You continue on with the stubborn energy, guys, and you're really going to stay stuck. And I know that you guys are frustrated, in the sense of like being stuck, but the only reason why it's like that is because you're holding that energy. So we have the number 30, the Horseman, Herald of Change. change. You're being asked to change. You're being asked, and when we say change, it's not necessarily like you need to change every aspect of yourself. You're just being asked to be a little bit more flexible, not to be so rigid with certain things. All right. Good news, caution, herald, or change. When the horseman appears, he is inviting you to spread the good news. Everyone already knows the bad news. Your task is to point out the beautiful when others see only the ugly. Know the possible, no matter how implausible it may seem. This does not mean becoming giddy or blindly optimistic, but rather reminding yourself that every storm cloud has a silver lining. So maybe you are this horseman in someone else's life. Maybe you are the one trying to show your significant other, trying to show someone that it is okay to change. It is okay not to be so rigid in how things were, right? And not to be so stubborn. Um, if you are not, if you are the one that is being stubborn, I really advise you to really look into yourself as to why you are so against change, and allow spirit to guide you through releasing that stubbornness, through releasing that space, so that you can allow yourself to become more flexible, so that then you can be that echo, that testimony of what happens and how your life changes when you allow yourself to change, when you allow yourself to expand. For some of you, this is a training ground of a testimonial that you will be, that you would have in the future, of how much your life changed when you release the stubbornness of, like, this rigidity of really wanting to stay stuck within an energy. Well, guys, that is all I have for you at this moment in time. As always, thank you for your love and support. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing to the channel. And if you haven't done so, go ahead and do so. We would love to have you. Sending every single one of you love, strength, and blessing, guys. Take care. Love you all. Bye-bye.